trust fund. You're transferring a lot of money.
Thank you.
Into
Thank you.
salary. You're welcome.
You're done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I know a lot of other people.
You're done. Thank you.
We talked about the budget, right?
Let's go. Time's up. I'm sure you do.
Okay, seeing no one else, I will formally close this portion of the public hearing and call Director Bibi Taylor to the microphone to address. Thank you.
So first and foremost, the County of Union does not use one-time revenue sources with reoccurring expenses. All of the expenses that are in the budget that are offset by ARPA are one-time expenses. The $10 million that we previously talked about are for public safety equipment and for expenses associated with the prosecutor's office that you will not see again next year because that revenue source will not also be here. We do not use one-time revenue sources again, as many of the other local units tend to do. And that's why we maintain a AAA bond rating, because we are quite conservative. With regard to our debt as far at year-end 2023, let me just give a little bit of background. In 2013, the percentage of net debt was 0.87%. As of the year-end 2023, it is now at 0.57%. The ordinances that we adopt on a regular basis, we ensure that we are paying off more debt than we are reauthorizing. And that is, again, still consistent with all of the ratings that we have consistently received that show that we are conservative in our budgeting practices as well as our management of debt. With regard to the items that were increased, I can just simply go through them. If you wish, Madam Chair, I'll defer to you to provide an explanation.
That's fine.
So with regard to the county manager's office, we do know that the lease for Runnels Hospital is up at the end of this year. As a result, we do need professionals in order to help us identify alternate space as well as a plan in order to modify our certificate of need, hence the need for an increase in the OE line item. The county clerk's office, yes, it is a presidential election year. As a result, we do have many more people that vote, and there are a lot more activities. So yes, there is an increase in the OE budget. With regard to the Division of Motor Vehicles, we have an aging fleet. We also have underground storage tanks in many of our facilities that we need to maintain and upgrade. So there is an increase in that. The Division of Strategic Planning and Intergovernmental Relations, that is actually, if the speaker looked at it, that's an offset to community services. So the Division of Community Services decreased by $247,000, and then there was a corresponding offset and an increase into the Strategic Planning Division. So it was just a movement of operations between units of government. The Sheriff's Office did increase its operating expenses, again, because of one-time public safety equipment that was needed in order to mitigate any emergencies that you will not see prospectively. Same thing with the Department of the Public Safety Director. That is a $1.2 million increase. Again, public safety related equipment that you will not see again next year. The Medical Examiner's Office, unfortunately, we do have the need because of many people that are passing and because of the statewide protocols associated with some of the deaths, we still do need to do autopsies because of COVID and verify the passing. So that, unfortunately, we do have an increase in OE related to that. Medical services, that's because we are adding new staff to that because of the shared services which reap revenue to offset these expenses. So you will see that in the revenue side of the house. With regard to recreational facilities, yes, there is a $1.1 million increase, but you'll also see an offsetting increase in the recreational facility fees on the revenue side. Division of Social Services, a $638,000 increase. That is because there are some state assumption costs that we do have to budget for, so those numbers are provided by the state. Overall, I will just simply say that our budget is reflective of a 1.75% increase, which is something that many public entities in the state of New Jersey do not maintain. In fact, many of them have not had 4 zeros throughout the pandemic. Because of our financial practices, I will tell you that we have been very conservative for the past 10 years. We have consistently been holding ourselves lower than the allowable amount that we are allowed to raise in taxes. With that, Madam Chair, I'll be happy to answer any other questions the board may have.
Thank you, Director. Commissioner Granados.
Thank you, Chair. Just first off, wow, that's amazing. One breath. He didn't even take a breath during that whole entire statement. I was like, he's going to add a county manager. I'm like, wow. Passion right there. But just correct me if I'm wrong, Finance Director. Based off Moody's rating agency and the Global Authority on Financial Performance, have they not stated that Union County has a strong management team, conservative budgeting practices, manageable debt, and stronger financial performance than its peers throughout the state of New Jersey?
That is correct. That is a reflection of our 2024 rating.
Thank you very much, Finance Chair. Finance Chair. You too, Finance Chair. I got you both. Thanks, Chair.
Commissioner Williams and then Commissioner Baker.
Yeah, I was going to say something a little bit similar that, Moody's is the ratings agency that that all of the counties go by, right? And as my colleague said, they are the global authority. I don't know what authority other people have. I thought the mic dropped. It should have, but it didn't. Thank you.
Commissioner Baker.
Yeah, well, I've said before that we have smart business practices. We have a smart operating budget, and it comes through collaboration between the department heads and the county manager. But I do want to ask a question because it was raised about the surplus, the budget surplus. So could you explain that so that it's
Absolutely.
understood?
So we generate surplus by essentially holding the line on filling some vacancies throughout the year, by aggressively going after all revenue sources that are due the county. And so you'll see that in our indirect costs, you'll see that in our fringe benefit costs, you'll see that in all of the revenues on the grants throughout the year that we tend to apply for and then offset some of our operations by. So in order to mitigate any emergencies that the county has, and I'll give you a prime example, during Hurricane Sandy, during the pandemic, we were able to use our surplus funds in order to help many of the county residents that were impacted by these emergencies without having to issue new debt to pay for those operations. We were able to float all of those operations without having to access the market. And so when many professionals at the beginning of the pandemic were doom and gloom that essentially costs are going to skyrocket, there's not going to be any revenue sources, the County of Union maintained its surplus in order to continue operations and open up the first county-run testing site in order to help many of its residents and residents throughout the state of New Jersey. So that's the need for surplus. It also ensures that we have financial health, flexibility in order to continue all operations without continuously having to go out and issue emergency appropriations and the such when the need arises.
Right. Now, just one other point, and correct me if I'm wrong. Aren't we obligated through state regulation or state statutes to maintain a certain level of surplus?
Unfortunately, there is no statutory requirement for the amount of surplus you need to maintain. However, I will just also give you a little bit of an example. Back in 2012, the County of Union at year-end had $16 million worth of surplus. As a result, in 2012, we also had to have a huge layoff associated with maintaining operations because a lot of the revenue streams were not available to help offset operations.
Right.
Because of our financial footing, we've been able to, one, continue to go to the negotiating table, pay a fair wage. We've been able to maintain our workforce while still looking at ways to achieve economy and efficiencies throughout the year.
Okay, my memory.
That's for school districts. So that's what you're thinking of.
School districts, right? Okay, all right. Thank you very much.
Okay. Dr. Telly, thank you very much for your explanation today, as well as all of your work on this budget, along with your team that is sitting in the back. Thank you all for the hard work. I know this isn't something that happens overnight, and we do appreciate all of the efforts that you put into doing this, maintaining a 0% increase for so many years, and then just being able to keep it at a low increase this year. I know that on behalf of our residents, we are all very grateful. So thank you again. At this time, I would like to ask for a motion to adopt resolutions 2024